Hey everybody, welcome back. This is War Boss Fitz, and today we are going to do another how to play video in Grimdark Future. This week we are going to be looking at the Infected Colonies. So before we get into the lists and the models, we're going to talk about a 3D creator this week. And with the Infected Colonies list I'm going to be using, I could not find someone who made all of the models, so I have a real eclectic bunch of stuff on the board. But the one creator who did make a great deal of it is Stationforge. I'm using their corrupted models as the infected in today's army list. And they have a giant catalog of 32mm miniatures that you can use in any of your war games. I'll have a link to Stationforge's My Mini Factory shop down in the description. Now on to the Infected Colonies army. First we're going to start with the special rules for the army. Starting off with Bloodthirsty. This model and its unit get Furious. If they already had Furious, they get extra hits from Furious on unmodified rolls of 5 to 6 instead. Boom. If this model is killed in melee, the attacking unit takes 3 hits. Mutating, this model and its unit gets Regeneration. Plague Command, once per this unit's activation, before attacking, pick one other friendly unit within 12 inches, which may move by up to 6. Terrifying, enemies get -1 to hit in melee when attacking units where all models have this rule. And Undead, whenever this unit fails a morale test, it counts as passed instead. Then roll as many dice as remaining models /tough with this rule, and for each result of 1 to 2, the unit takes 1 wound, which can't be ignored. So this army is going to be one of the few in Grimdark Future that has the Undead rule built in. What the Undead rule basically means is you can never be stunned. You're either going to be fully operational or just dead. And with the changes in 3.3, the Undead rule is not as unforgiving as it was in the past. Now you only lose a wound on a 1 or a 2. So what you're going to see with this army is lots of units that are going to stick around for far longer than they should. Coupled with Terrifying, that makes for a really, really tanky unit. Coupled with Mutating, that is also a tanky option. And Bloodthirsty is going to be for those units that you want to put a character in that are going to get to grips with the enemy as fast as they can. They do have access to some casters, so we're going to talk about their spells. Biohorror 1. Target enemy unit within 9 takes 1 hit with AP 2 and Deadly 3. Infestation 1. Target 2 friendly units within 18, they get poison next time they fight in melee. Onslaught 2. Target 2 friendly units within 12, they get +2 next time they advance or +4 next time they rush or charge. Panic Virus 2. Target enemy unit within 12, they take 6 hits. Plague 3. Target enemy unit within 18 takes 1 hit with Blast of 9. Vigor 3. Target 2 friendly units within 18 get Regeneration next time they take wounds. So having Regeneration be an option in the spell list is great because your character can't be everywhere all at once in this army. So this is going to allow you to cover those bases whenever you don't have a hero with the unit. Onslaught is going to be a great choice as well because this army does not have very much fast in it, and this will essentially give units that you want in combat the fast rule. And then Infestation only being a strength 1 spell, giving 2 friendly units poison is amazing to me because if the enemy is running a whole lot of regeneration in their army, poison counteracts that. So for just 1 spell power being thrown out, you could take 2 of your melee units and have them ignore regeneration. So now we get into the characters. We're going to start off with the Monstrous Tyrant, 160 points, quality 3, defensive 2, fear, hero, toughness 6, and undead. Comes with a Stomp with 2 attacks at AP 1 and a Monstrous Claw for 4 attacks, AP 1 and Rending. You can upgrade them with the Frenzied Strain, which gives them Bloodthirsty, the Gigantic Strain, which gives them Terrifying, or the Evolving Strain, which gives them Mutating. You can also replace the Monstrous Claw with a Monstrous Stinger for 2 attacks at AP 2 and Deadly 3, or a Monstrous Fist for 4 attacks at AP 4. If you're going to be running a unit in the army that is focused solely on melee, the Monstrous Tyrant is going to want to be right in the middle of it. With its ability to give the unit Furious, -1 to hit, or Regeneration, this Tyrant will be a boost to whatever squad you put him in. To get the most amount of mileage out of those points, put him in a squad of something big, like the runners that we are going to be talking about. Our next character is the Great Hunter, 80 points. Quality 3, defensive 4, ambush, hero, strider, toughness 3, and undead. Comes with 4 attacks at AP 1 with rending from his great sharp claw. They can also be upgraded to have bloodthirsty, terrifying, or mutating. And you can replace the great sharp claw with a barbed claw for 1 attack at AP 2 with deadly 3, a toxin claw for 4 attacks with poison, or a hardened claw for 4 attacks at AP 4. Again, this is going to be a hero that wants to be front and center of your combat teams. All the upgrades on this hero gravitate towards melee. Another thing you could do with the Great Hunter is, if you have the unit slots left over, you can deploy this guy on his own. With the ambush rule, they could pop up where they are definitely not wanted, and giving them the hardened claw, 4 attacks at AP 4, right in the backside of the enemy, is a great use for them. Then our last character in the army is the Infected Leader, 35 points, quality 5, defensive 5, hero, toughness 3, and undead. 1 attack with a close combat weapon, and 3 shots at 18 inches with a leader carbine. You can upgrade it to be a mad scientist that gives them caster of 2, or big brain that gives them plague command. You can replace the carbine with a pistol and a close combat weapon. You can then replace that pistol with a shred pistol, plasma pistol, or sniper carbine. And you can replace the close combat weapon with an energy hammer, energy sword, or energy fist. This is going to be the leader that goes into your longer ranged units, giving them a little bit more firepower with all the different pistols or the sniper carbine. And if you want to spend the points on it, giving them a little bit of a close combat push. Don't expect much out of them as far as combat goes because they're only quality 5. The big use for this character is going to be to give them caster 2 and sink them inside of a squad so that they can start giving out poison, regeneration, all the stuff we talked about in the spell section. So then we move on to the base units of the army. Our first one is going to be runners, 10 of them for 95 points, quality 5 and defensive 6. They have strider and undead. They all have 2 attacks apiece from their claws, and the unit has no upgrades. These are mostly going to be the ablative wounds and the chaff clearing for your combat heroes. Sticking a tyrant inside this unit pretty much gives them 20 ablative wounds that they're going to be able to lose as they run across the board to go give somebody a hug. You can also use them to clear the chaff of the enemy army because of the amount of attacks that a squad of 10 is going to give you, or you can also use them as a throwaway unit to pretty much clog up the enemy's lines and to go stand on places the enemy doesn't want them to stand on. At 95 points for 10 of them, this is going to be the cheapest chaff you're going to be able to get in this army. Our next unit is the good old zombie, 10 of them for 100 points, quality 5 and defensive 6 with regeneration, slow, and undead. These models have 2 attacks apiece from their claws, also with no upgrades. This is going to be the same thing as the runners, except this unit is slower, but it is tankier because it comes with regeneration built in. So again, it's going to be a blade of wounds for your combat heroes, or they're going to be used to stand on your objectives on your side of the board, just to give the enemy headaches, because they're going to have to kill all of them to take those objectives away from you. Our next unit is the Infected, 10 of them for 155 points, quality 5 and defensive 5, and their only special rule is they are undead. 1 attack apiece with their close combat weapons, 2 shots at 18 inches with their carbines. You can replace 1 carbine and close combat weapon with a sergeant pistol and sergeant hand weapon. The sergeant can then replace that with a plasma pistol or a shred pistol. They can also take an energy sword or an energy fist. And you can replace up to 2 carbines in the squad with a shred rifle, fusion rifle, grenade launcher, flamer, or heavy machine gun. This is what happens when you take the human defense force and you give them the coronavirus. The use for these are going to be to sink your infected leaders into, giving them some ablative wounds, but they also have some ability to reach out and touch things because they get to switch up to 2 carbines with a special weapon. Next unit are weapon teams, 3 of them for 140 points, quality 5, defensive 5, toughness 3, and undead. 2 attacks with the crews, 1 attack at 30 inches with blast and indirect from their mortars. You can replace the mortars with a heavy machine gun, missile launcher, laser cannon, or autocannon. Now we're getting to a little bit heavier firepower. Again, they're only quality 5. There's no way for this army to increase their ability to hit like the Human Defense Force, so you're pretty much stuck at that quality 5 for your shooting. But with that in mind, this is going to be mortars for indirect fire, heavy machine gun for direct chaff killing, missile launcher and laser cannon for anti-armor work, and the autocannon is kind of a in-between all-round weapon to use. The next unit is the Infected Gunners, 65 points for 3 of them. Quality 5 and defensive 5, relentless and undead. Relentless means that whenever they stand still and they roll a 6 to hit, they just get an additional hit. 1 attack apiece from their close combat weapons, and they come equipped with grenade launchers for 1 shot at 24 inches with blast of 3. You can replace the grenade launchers with a shred rifle, fusion rifle, flamer, or heavy machine gun. Now these again may only hit on a 5, but with relentless that means that 50% of your hits are going to turn into another hit. So if you're somebody that rolls a whole lot of 6s, you're going to get a whole lot of use out of this unit. You could take 6 of them all armed with heavy machine guns, and if they have a commanding field of view, they could just go daka all day long, and they're going to get some exploding 6s. So if you've got the models and you want to put some suppressive fire down the board, these guys are always a good option. Next unit is Hunters, 5 of them for 155 points, quality 3, defensive 4, ambush, strider, and undead. 2 attacks apiece at AP 1 with rending from their sharp claws. You can replace the sharp claws with toxin claws for poison or hardened claws for AP 4. And you can replace 1 sharp claw in the squad with a barbed claw for 1 attack at AP 2 with deadly 3. This is going to be the unit that if you take a hunter, you're going to want to bury him in this squad, because at that point they all have ambush. You can give them all AP 4 attacks, and they can pop up in spots they're not supposed to be and wreck just about everything. With their quality 3, they're going to be able to land a whole lot of attacks, and with AP 4, they're going to be ripping the hearts out of armored transports. Next unit is Boomers, 3 of them for 160 points, quality 4, defensive 4, boom, toughness 3, and undead. They come with putrid fists that have 4 attacks apiece with poison, and the unit has no other upgrades. This unit is designed to die. This is a unit that you charge towards the enemy, and every time that they kill one with that boom ability, the enemy takes 3 hits. It's not going to do much if your enemy has a defense of 3, but if it's anything lighter than that, run the boomers into them and hope they die while they explode their goo all over the enemy. Leech Swarms, 3 of them for 45 points, quality 6 and defensive 6, strider, toughness 3, and undead, 3 attacks apiece with poison from their swarm attacks, and the unit has no upgrades. This is the cheapest unit in the army, so it will be the most annoying thing for the enemy. The best thing to do with these leech swarms is just constantly move them towards the objectives on the enemy side of the board. I wouldn't even worry about getting them into combat and trying to attack anything. The whole job of the leech swarms is to get in the way of the enemy, to go stand on their objectives, to force the enemy to have to spend an activation to get rid of them. And with their 3 wounds apiece with undead, they might have to put more activations into getting those leeches off of their objectives than they want to. Crazed Ravens, because of course, we got birds. 3 of them for 90 points, quality 5, defensive 5, flying, toughness 3, and undead. 3 attacks apiece with their beak attacks. This is going to be the same idea as the leech swarms, except this one does have a little bit more combat power because they have a quality and defensive 5, but they don't have poison. So the only real difference between the leeches and the crazed ravens is these have flying, so they can ignore terrain while they go stand where they're not supposed to. Rabid Dogs, 110 points for 5 of them. Quality 4, defensive 5. Fast, scout, and undead. 2 attacks apiece with rending from their vicious jaws. and the unit has no upgrades. So with Fast and Scout, these are going to have two options. One, they're going to be a meat missile on turn number 1. They scout up halfway across the board, and then with their fast ability, they should be able to touch the enemy if they deployed on the line. So you could really get in some disruption of the enemy on turn 1 by just being in their deployment zone and charging stuff. Another option is to keep smaller units around the flank. The enemy's either going to have to deal with them, or towards the end of the game, these can race out and either take away or contest the enemy's objectives. The last of our animal friends is the vultures. 3 of them for 170 points, quality 4, defensive 4, ambush, flying, toughness 3, and undead. 3 attacks apiece with AP 1 from their sharp talons. You can replace the sharp talons with a piercing beak for 1 attack at AP 2 and deadly 3, and you can upgrade all the models with a swoop attack to give them impact 1. Now, unlike our ravens and our leeches, this unit does have combat potential. Ambushing, flying, 3 attacks with AP 1. You could upgrade that to a piercing beak for AP 2 with deadly, and impact. These are made to drop in on the enemy, disrupt them from the back, disrupt them from the front. If they have chaff units, hit them with the impact attacks, and then go to town with your sharp talons. For the lighter armored monster units, the piercing beak would be great to go after them. Some of those only have a save of 4+. The AP2 makes it a 6, and with a deadly 3, that's a dead monster. The next unit is Corrupted Beasts, 220 points for 3 of them. Quality 3, defensive 3, toughness 3, and undead. They have 4 attacks apiece with AP 1 and rending from their dual sharp claws. You can replace the dual sharp claws with dual smashing fists for 4 attacks at AP 4, and you can replace 1 dual sharp claw with a dual serrated claw for 2 attacks with blast 3, or a dual piercing stinger for 2 attacks at AP 2 and deadly 3. This is going to be a sledgehammer type unit. With their quality and defense of 3, upgrade them to the dual smashing fists to give them 4 attacks at AP 4, and send them towards the heaviest things that the enemy has on the board. These guys are either going to wreck their day or die trying. Then we come to the Great Beast, 145 points, quality 3, defensive 3, fear of 1, toughness 6, and undead. 6 attacks with AP 2 from its heavy claw. This is going to be the same type of deal as the Corrupted Beasts, except it's cheaper, doesn't have quite the amount of toughness, but 6 wounds all wrapped up into one model, has its upsides and its downsides. Upside is the enemy has to take out all 6 of its toughness to make it combat ineffective. Downside is the enemy could hit it with one big deadly 6 weapon that could just wipe it from the board. On to vehicles. We're going to start with the attack buggy, 195 points, quality 4 and defensive 2, fast, impact 3, toughness 6, and undead. It starts off with twin heavy machine guns, 6 shots with AP 1 at 30 inches. You can replace the twin heavy machine gun with a twin autocannon or a twin laser cannon, and you can also upgrade it with cargo space to make it into a transport. Now for the transport capacity, the best thing that you would want to put into a transport would be a hunter unit, just to get them into combat faster. It would have to be a smaller squad because the transport capacity is not large enough for a combined squad of them. So that's one option you can use there. I wouldn't use the heavy machine gun because the rest of your army has enough anti-infantry firepower around it. I would either go with a twin laser cannon if you know you're going to be fighting armor, and if you're going to be fighting heavier infantry, I'd go with a twin autocannon. Next unit we come to is the battle tank, 410 points, quality 4, defensive 2, fast, impact 6, toughness 12, and undead. Comes with a twin heavy machine gun and a battle cannon for 2 shots at AP 2 with blast of 3 at 30 inches. You can replace the battle cannon with a twin laser cannon for 2 shots, AP 3, deadly 3 at 36, or a twin autocannon for 6 shots at AP 2 at 36. In this army, without the upgrades to give the tanks their versatility that you get in the Human Defense Force, it probably is not the best choice for this army. But in case you have one and you really want to use it, the twin heavy machine gun you're going to be using for anti-infantry, so you can either keep the battle cannon on for anti-chaff or heavier infantry with its AP2, or you can upgrade it to a twin autocannon, which would essentially be doing the same job. The twin laser cannon and the twin heavy machine gun, that unit is going to want to split fire as it goes down the board. The twin laser cannon into an armored unit and the twin heavy machine gun into the chaff and infantry. The next unit is the Combat Walker. 175 points, quality 4, defensive 2, fear 1, toughness 6, and undead. 2 attacks with AP1 from its stomp, 1 attack at AP4, deadly 6, at 18 inches with its super heavy fusion rifle. You can replace a super heavy fusion rifle with a heavy flamer and a Walker chainsaw, which gives it more attacks in close combat, and one-shot AP1 blast 3 reliable at 12 inches, which means it's always going to hit on a 2 with that heavy flamer. A twin plasma cannon for 2 shots at AP4 blast of 3, or a twin laser machine gun for 6 shots at AP3. With this model, I would always suggest keeping on the super heavy fusion rifle. And at 175 point stock, it's going to be a terror for all of the armored units on the board. Just looking at the numbers, you're going to be able to take 2 of these for the battle tank that we just looked at. 2 of these, in my opinion, will outlast that battle tank every day of the week. Our next unit is an Abomination. 355 points, quality 3 and defensive 2, fear 2, toughness 12, and undead. 8 attacks at AP3 with its heavy claw, 4 attacks at AP1 with its stomp. Has no upgrades, so this unit's one job in life is to put its head down and charge face first into the enemy as fast as it possibly can. Then the last unit is the Light Drop Ship for 290 points. Quality 4, defensive 2, aircraft, toughness 6, transport 11, and undead. Comes equipped with a minigun for 4 shots at AP1 at 24 and a twin heavy machine gun for 6 shots AP1 at 30 inches. You can upgrade the heavy machine gun for a twin missile launcher or a twin laser cannon. So your options for it as far as weapons go is twin heavy machine gun for the chaff and infantry, twin missile launcher for heavier infantry, lighter vehicles, and the twin laser cannon is going to send you out there armor hunting. Now it does have transport 11, so that means that on turn 1 you could put a squad into this and you could be across the board behind the enemy in their own deployment zone on turn 1. So that would be a way to get a unit of corrupted beasts over there, hunters if you wanted to do it on turn 1. Or if you really just wanted to be a pain in the butt, you could fill this thing full of zombies and go drop them wherever you want. That one is up to you. So that will do it for the army and the rules of the Infected Colonies. Now we're going to see how these little snot-filled buggers are going to hold up against the Custodian brothers. If there ever was a David and Goliath game in Grimdark Future, I think we found it. I'll see you out in the garage. All right, welcome out to the garage, everybody. What you see in front of you is the list I have come up with for today of 2,000 points of Infected Colonies. In this list, we have 2 squads of 6 boomers, 2 squads of 10 infected, both led by an infected leader with caster 2, 2 combat walkers with super heavy fusion rifles, and a monstrous tyrant hooked onto a squad of 20 runners, and because I had points left over, another squad of 10 runners over here. Their opponents today are the Custodian brothers, complete with their upgrade to 3.3. So we still have the 3 squads of 3 Custodian brothers, a Master Destroyer, and 2 more Destroyers on their own. What we've picked up is we've increased the size of the Hunter Sisters to 6 and added a Great Sister with the Scout rule. This is our table for today. There are 6 objectives on the board. We're going to be using the mission cards. Each team gets 5 objectives. They're going to be able to score as many as they can each turn, and they're going to be allowed to discard 1 at the end of every turn. Some of the terrain looks a little bit wet, and that's because I took some advice of everybody and put a little bit darker paint on my brown buildings to give them more contrast on the board. But let's see how our armies are set up. So for the Infected Colonies, we have 10 runners that are going to be on the ground floor, boomers, combat walker, infected, the big group of 20 runners and the monstrous tyrant, the combat walker, infected, and boomers. Then for the Custodian Guard, we've got a unit of brothers hiding in the bottom of the building. Another unit of brothers hiding here. Unit of brothers on this objective, and then the Hunter sisters have already scouted up, sitting right next to objective number 6, with all 3 of the destroyers in ambush. So let's figure out the objectives for the infected colonies. Seize 3, terrify, seize 3, cut them down, and hold 6. Mission cards for the Custodian brothers. Slay the king. On the march. Charge. Hold the line. And outflank. Now we're going to roll to see who goes first. The infected colonies are going to be the black die. Oh. The custodians are going to go first. First activation, the unit of Custodian Brothers on 5 is just going to take off running. And they are going to be relatively behind cover, or at least blocking line of sight to one of the combat walkers. Over on Objective 2, the infected need to get over onto Objective 3, so this guy is just going to take off running, and he's going to be blocked by the camera, but he's going to end up there. Unit of custodians that is in the building is just going to pop out and end up on objective number 1. That's going to give these boomers a target. They're not going to be able to get all the way there, but they are just going to stand here on objective 1. Because they're not going to be able to make that charge there, these custodian brothers in the building, they are just going to hold this turn. Our other combat walker here is going to move 6 pretty much sideways. And because we're playing true line of sight, he is going to be able to see over top of this to hit the Custodian Brothers. The good news for the Custodian Brothers is it only has 1 shot. And it's hitting out of 4. She misses. I have a feeling they quite literally dodged the bullet. Last activation for the Custodian Brothers is the Hunter Sisters are going to go there. 6. That will put them there, and then they are going to fire all of their flamers at this squad of boomers. So that's going to be 7 shots from all those flamers with reliable hitting on a 2. They're all going to hit. Now the boomers save on a 4, but because they are behind a barricade, that gives them cover, so they're going to save on a 3. I rolled 21 dice and got 10 1s and 2s, so that's going to be 1, 2, 3. And then 1 guy's down to 2 wounds. That means they're going to have to take a morale test, which they fail. Because they have the undead rule, we get to roll 1 dice for every wound they have remaining. And on a 1 and a 2, they take another wound. So they have 7 wounds remaining. And they're only going to take 1 more. So only 1 more wound for the wrinkly ball bags. So now the Custodian Brothers are out of activation, so the infected colonies can just kind of finish all their activation. So we're going to have this unit of runners. They are going to double time it, and they are going to be able to get 1 little foot onto objective 6 and end up right there. Unit of ball bags, or our boomers, are going to charge into that unit of sisters. Just like that. 3 boomers attacking, 4 attacks apiece, 12 attacks, hitting on a 4. So that's 6 hits. The only special rule that these weapons have is poison. So the sisters get their normal armor save of a 3. So they fail 1, but because of the poison, they have to re-roll these 2 6s. So they fail 2. The sisters attack back. They're going to have 8 attacks coming back. They're all going to hit on a 3. 6 hits. The boomers save on a 4. So they take 3 wounds. So that goes 1, 2, 3. Now, because of the boom rule, this little guy is going to explode everywhere. So the sisters are going to automatically take 3 hits. And they save on a 3. So they're going to lose 1 more. With everything all added up, the boomers with their attacks and their explosion were able to kill 3 of the sisters. The sisters were able to do 3 wounds to the boomers. Combat's tied. Everyone just kind of backs up. Next, the infected is going to move 6 inches to put them on objective number 4, like so. And then they're going to fire at the Hunter Sisters. So we're going to start off with the carbine. It's going to be 16 shots from 8 carbines, hitting on a 5. 8 hits, and our sisters are going to save on a 3. Oh, they lose 4 more. The leader has a plasma pistol, hitting on a 5. 1 hit. AP4, so saving on a 6. Hey, they save. And then 2 fusion rifles, hitting on a 5. 1 of those hit. Sister has to make a 6 to save, and they fail. So total of 7 wounds are going to go through, so that's going to kill the 3 sisters and the great sister. Our second unit of infected and all the runners in here with the monstrous tyrant are going to move. They're going to move to there, and that's going to be the end of turn number 1. Let's see how the infected colony is doing. Hold 6. They're touching it, but for this card you have to hold it at the beginning and end of the same turn. Seize 3 and seize 3. They're on their way. Cut them down. They were able to kill 1 enemy unit, so they are going to get 1 victory point. And Terrify, they pretty much know they're not going to get that, so they are going to discard Terrify. Their 2 new objectives are Area Dominance and Executioner. For the Custodians, they're not able to pick up Outflank because there are enemies within 6 of the middle. Haven't charged anybody yet. Have not done Slay the King. Haven't done On the March because they have that 1 unit that is hiding next to objective number 3. And they have not scored Hold the Line. What they're going to do is they're going to get rid of Hold the Line because they are not going to stay in their deployment zone for long. And they pick up Seize 6. So at the beginning of turn 2, the ambushers have reached the board. We have our Master Destroyer and then our 2 other destroyers. They're all independent units. They are getting ready to rumble with some zombies, and the Custodian Brothers get the first turn. First activation, the Custodian Brothers sense that this guy will be a problem, so the Master Destroyer charges in. The Master Destroyer's got a little bit beefier since the last time we saw him. Starting off with 6 attacks, hitting on a 3. 5 hits at AP4, so it's saving on a 6. 1 save, 4 wounds. Then the Master Destroyer has a built-in stomp attack for 3 attacks, hitting on a 3, 2 hits. Those are AP1, so saving on a 3. Takes 1 more wound. That brings the Combat Walker down to 1. Now it gets to attack back. It has 2 attacks, hitting on a 4. Missed them both. So the big guy lost combat, has to take a morale test on a 4, and fails. So it has the undead rule, which means on a 1 or a 2, it explodes. It's sticking around. I have a feeling that's going to come back to bite him. Our second combat walker is just going to mosey. No, he's fine where he is. He's just going to fire at that destroyer. It's only got 1 shot, but it's a pretty strong shot. And it hits. The destroyer doesn't have access to a heavy shield, so he is going to have to try to save on a 6. Oh, he does! Someone's being extra lucky today, so he is going to activate next and charge into this group of infected. Our destroyer only has 6 attacks. Let's see if he can be a hero today. He hits with 5 of them. Saving on a 6. We've got 4 dead infected. So we'll just take 1, 2, 3, 4. And then everyone is going to hug him and get all of their coronavirus all over the destroyer. Now I did give the infected leaders energy fists because I had some points to blow. So they're going to be the black dice and everyone hits on a 5. So only 4 AP nothing hits, saving on a 2. He's going to take 1. Bringing him down to 5, but he definitely won that combat. They're going to need to take a morale test on a 5. Ooh, fail. We have to roll a dice for every wound left in the squad, so they're going to take 4 more wounds. So they're still technically going to be alive doing stuff. We're going to leave our fusion guns. That is definitely an upside of being undead. For the Infected Colonies activation, our little boomer ball sacks are going to charge into these guys. 4 attacks apiece, that's going to be 24 attacks, hitting on a 4. So I missed the bucket. There we go. So the Custodian brother is going to be saving on a 2. We've got 2 1s in there, and they are not going to be able to regenerate those because these attacks are poison. So one brother is down to 1. Now it's their turn to attack back. So they have 9 attacks, hitting on a 3. 6 hits, saving on a 6. That's going to be 6 wounds, but these are boomers, so that means 2 of them explode, putting 6 hits on the Custodian brothers. They do fail 2 of those, but these are not poisonous, so they do get regeneration, which they fail both. So it'll be 1, 2, and then 1, 2. We're going to see if the boomers fail a morale test. Passing on a 4. They fail. 1 dice for every wound remaining, and they're going to take 4 more. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then these guys back up an inch. These Custodians over by objective 6. They are just out of range to do an assault, so they are just going to charge in. 9 attacks hitting on a 6. I meant a 3. So it's 8 hits saving on a 6. They only lose 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the rest will just... Ow, as I get stabbed by my own spear. They'll just swarm around. So the runners have 2 attacks apiece, hitting on a 5. Then the Custodians save on a 2. Failed 1, but they have a regeneration, which they still take it. So the Custodians definitely won the combat. Morale test for the runners, and they fail. Undead roll. They're going to lose 2 more. So there's the 1 wound that the Custodian brothers took, and 2 more. 2 more of the runners, and then these guys fall back an inch. And look, he's trying to cheat already. Oop, 2. So in the middle, we are going to have the Monster Tyrant and his runner unit charge into the Master Custodian. This is going to make a mess. I'll be back when it's done moving. So that's how they ended up. Let's go ahead and roll some combat. So there are 15 runners that are close enough to attack. So that means 30 attacks, hitting on a 5. So that's 12 hits, and he's going to save on a 2. He's going to take 2 wounds. Now the Monstrous Tyrant has 4 attacks, AP 4, hitting on a 3. 3 hits. And because of his heavy shield, he's going to save on a 5. Failed all 3. Then finally, the Monstrous Tyrant has 2 attacks, AP 1 with his Stomp. 1 hit. Saving on a 2. Saves. So after all that, the big guy is down to 4 hit points. We'll just set it here, and then he's going to attack back. The runners save on a 6, so the AP is not going to matter. I'm going to roll all at the same time. 9 attacks, hitting on a 6. 1 hit. Saving on a 6. Fails. But the Monstrous Tyrant has the ability to give his whole squad regeneration. Fails. Morale for the Master Destroyer, because he definitely lost combat. He's good. So they're going to lose 1 runner, and then I'll move everybody back an inch. I'm just not going to make you suffer through it. There we go. Close enough. Now our Destroyer here is within 6, so he is going to do an ambush here. So he's got 2 ranged shots at a -1 to hit, meaning he's going to hit on a 4. 2 hits. Saving on a 6. That's going to be 2 wounds. Then they have regeneration. 2 dead runners. So we're going to do 1, 2, the 2 closest to him, but he is still at about 5.5 inches for that charge. So he's got to go save his Master Destroyer. 6 attacks, hitting on a 4. Oh, only 2 hits. Save it on a 6. 2 fails. Regeneration. Still 2 fails. So the squad's going to do 1, 2, and then they're going to charge back in. So 9 runners are in range to attack back, 18 attacks, hitting on a 6. 4 hits, saving on a 2. Saved them all. The Tyrant's attacks, 4 at AP4. Nothing. And then 2 at AP1. Nothing. So the runners lost combat. They need to take a morale test on the monstrous Tyrant's quality. And they pass. Now that there's not a gaggle of stuff in front of them, our combat walker is going to fire his super heavy fusion gun right into the Master Destroyer. 1 shot on a 4. And it misses. I mean, combat walkers I thought would be good if they could hit anything. This squad of custodians that's hanging out here, they're going to pop out. Say hi. 9 attacks, hitting on a 3. Oh, no, guys, come on. 4 attacks, saving on a 6. They saved 1. 3 regenerations. They saved another. So after all that, it just took 2. Now again, I'm going to do the swarm in. I'm not going to bore you with the details. To that, I did realize I forgot to move this guy back to outside an inch. That's why he boop and teleported. We're getting an awful lot of movement out of this zombie squad just by consolidating into combat. So 12 of them are close enough to fight, hitting on a 6. 2 hits, saving on a 2. They take 1. But they have regeneration. They still take it. Our monstrous tyrant, 2 hits. This is AP4 because their shield makes it AP3, saving on a 5, 1 save. Regeneration, passes. And then his stomps, whiff. So morale test for the runners. They fail. 1 dice for every wound. They end up taking 6 more wounds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And everybody moves back an inch. Oh wait, no, it was custodians that started this one, so they move back an inch. And there we go. This squad of infected is going to activate, and it's their job to try to start removing some problems. They did move, but the only thing they did was they put their fusion guns in range of the Master Destroyer, so the whole squad is now going to shoot at them. 2 black dice are the fusion rifles. Everything hits on a 5. Of course, our fusion rifles missed, but we got a lot of hits with the carbine, so saving on a 2. He's going to take 1 more wound, and that's going to be a morale test for him. And he passes. So the only unit left for the custodians is this one over here. Now, in this situation, I would assault, but I watched a video last night on 3.3 by Haunts Wargaming where he put on there that you cannot assault when you're fatigued. So I looked at the rule book and thought, oh no, did I miss this when I went over the rules? Well, it turns out that that ruling that says you can't do it while you're fatigued is in the core rule book, but not in the advanced rule book. So I'm not going to assault with these guys because I think that's the way it's supposed to be. Just somebody forgot to put that into the advanced rulebook. Just letting you know, OPR. It's a little whoops. They happen. So these guys are just going to charge into here. I have a feeling this is going to be a slap fight. 6 attacks on a 6. Nothing. 12 attacks back on a 6. Oh, they got 3 through. They got 4 through. Saving on a 2. They're going to take a wound with no regeneration because of poison. So our custodians lost combat. Morale test. Morale test. They're going to pass. I'm going to say this is my dice because there's no way these guys should not be able to beat up a walking scrotum. So next activation, this squad of infected is just going to stand here and shoot into that destroyer. So we got 2 fusion rifles and 1 plasma pistol with 2 shots. The blacks are going to be the fusion rifles. Everything's hitting on a 5. Whiff. But for some reason I forgot that both of those characters are led by a caster. So I'm going to ask my opponent, hey opponent, can I do this? Yeah, sure opponent. I'm going to go ahead and cast Bio-Horror onto the destroyer. It is a strength 1 power. He's going to put 2 points behind it, so he's going to cast it on a 3. It goes off. So it's one hit at AP 2, deadly 3. But the destroyer saves it anyways. So last two activation, these runners are just going to stand here and not fight those custodians. But our second unit of boomers is. So they're going to charge right in there. 4 attacks each, hitting on a 4. 5 hits, saving on a 2. They're going to take 2 wounds with no regeneration. That is going to be a big oof. Now the custodians are not going to charge into them because if they do, the infected colonies get this objective. So they're just going to stand there. Time for a morale test. They're going to pass on a 3, which they fail, but they are fearless. They do pass. The infected colonies did not get executioner as much as they tried. They do not hold 3 yet. They currently only hold 1. Haven't got to 3 all the way. They are on it, but there are custodians that are contesting it. And hold 6, the custodians stayed on there instead of fighting back, so they were not able to score it. So they're not going to discard anything, and they're just going to see what they can do next turn with this. Time for the custodians. They did not seize 6. They do get 1 point for on the march because no one is left in their deployment zone. They have not killed any heroes. They have not killed any units yet. That's kind of hard to do against an undead opponent. And the middle of the battlefield is just a mess. So what they're going to do is they're going to get rid of outflank. And they are going to pick up Delve Deep and Seize 2. There's not very many good options. So what the custodian is going to do first is the Master Destroyer is going to charge into this guy that's been giving him grief. So he's got 6 attacks, hitting on a 3. 5 hits, saving on a 6. That's going to be the end of the combat walker. So that'll remove one of the kill a destroyer and one-shot weapons. Speaking of the other combat walker, he's going to move 6 inches and then fire into that destroyer there. One shot, hitting on a 4. Oh, it finally connects. The destroyer doesn't have anything special, just his armor of 2, which this forces to a 6. And he's gone. Zorch. Now these custodians will assault the boomers. So they have 2 shots hitting on a 4. 2 hits. Saving on a 5. 1 fail. Then they will move into combat. This guy takes 1 wound. 6 attacks, hitting on a 4. 3 hits, saving on a 6. That will kill 1 and put a wound on another. The boomer explosion. It's going to save all those. 8 attacks, hitting on a 4. 5 hits, saving on a 2. Save them all. Morale test for the boomers. They're going to fail. 5 wounds left in the squad. They're all good. So the boomers took 2 total. Putting that to there. 2. And then these guys move back an inch. Things are not going good for the custodians. The unit of runners on objective number 3 are going to charge into those custodians. 7 runners left for 14 attacks on a 5. 5 hits, saving on a 2. 1 goes through with regeneration. Fails. Now the monstrous tyrant, his stomps are going to be in black. 1 at AP 4. Fails. Fails regen. 2 at AP 1. Passing both. So 2 wounds takes him out. Now they're going to attack back. 6 attacks hitting on a 3. 4 hits saving on a 6. With regeneration. Takes all 4. So that means the runners need a morale test. They fail. 9 wounds left in the squad. 3 wounds are going to be taken. I meant 4. I couldn't see that other one in the corner. So 1, 2, 3, and that'll knock him down to 5. He's got to back up an inch. Our last destroyer to activate is just going to charge into there. 6 attacks on a 3. Ooh, we got 3 hits. Saving on a 6. That's going to kill the 2 little guys. The leader's going to attack back with his energy fist on a 5 and completely misses. Morale test for the leader. He's good. So 1, 2, and move him back. Oh, these guys, these units just will not go away. Over to this fun spot, the boomers are going to charge in. 8 attacks, hitting on a 4. 3 hits, saving on a 2. They're all good. 6 attacks back on a 3. 4 hits on a 6. They take 4 wounds, which means 1 explodes. But the custodians are good. Morale test for the boomer. Passes. So we'll take these 2 wounds, move them over there. He's gone. And then he's got to back up an inch. We're going to keep this party going, even though they're fatigued. They are going to charge into the runners. 6 attacks on a 6. 2 hits. Saving on a 6. 2 fails. 1 runner attacks back. 1 hit. Saving on a 2. Passes. Morale test for the runner. He passes. So 1, 2, leaving a lone runner who's going to activate now, and he's going to chill right there on that objective, telling them you didn't finish the job. Leaving just these custodians for the last activation of the custodians to charge in there. 6 attacks on a 6. 2 hits. Saving on a 6. Takes 2, but has regeneration. Saves them both. So the tyrant is attacking back. His stomps are the black dice. On a 6. 2 hits at AP 4. Their heavy shield makes it AP 3, so saving on a 5. 1 fail. And they also have regeneration. But they fail. They take a wound. So that means that the custodians lose combat. They fail their first morale test. Their fearless test. Oh, they fail that as well. So they are going to back up. This guy took a wound. And they are pinned. So we're going to activate that infected leader. He's going to do the same thing he did last time. Cast that bio explosion spell. And then fire his plasma pistol into that destroyer. So he's going to cast the spell. Again, he's going to put 2 points in it. Needs a 3. But he fails this time. Plasma pistol. Both of those shots miss. Last activation for the infected colonies. The squad of infected back there on objective number 2 are going to fire at the Master Destroyer. Everybody hits on a 5. The 2 blacks are the fusion guns. I don't think we've seen a single fusion rifle hit out of the infected this game. 7 hits, saving on a 2. The Destroyer Master is going to take 1, and he needs a morale test, which he passes. So at the end of turn 3, let's see what we got for points for the infected colony. They still can't score that, but they do score the 2 C's 3s because the squad of custodian that's standing on it are pinned. So they can't contest. They have not pulled off Executioner, and they have not pulled off Area Dominance yet. So the 2 cards that they are going to get, Volley Fire and Hold 1. They're also going to get rid of Hold 6, because now that it's going into turn number 4, that is not possible, because they cannot hold it at the beginning and the end of the turn. So they're going to get Seize 1. For the custodians, they did not seize 2. That 1 destroyer is just outside the enemy's deployment zone. They still have not destroyed an enemy unit at all. Can't do that yet. Then they have yet to kill a character. So what they are going to get rid of, they're going to get rid of Seize 2, and their new card is going to be Hold 2. First activation of turn 4, our big guy is going to slam right into this squad here with his whole 2 wounds remaining. So we're going to roll everything together because everything takes them to a 6, hitting on a 3. Everything hits, saving on a 6. Everything's going to die. So he just tears through the entire squad. leaving one guy and the leader, who are not even going to be close enough to make it into combat, so they need to take a morale test. The Master Destroyer finally decided to show up for combat in turn 4, but morale test for the little guys, they're going to fail. They have 4 wounds left between the two of them. They're going to take 1. That means Big Stick Guy is all on his own. Our monstrous tyrant is going to charge into this squad while they are still pinned. So while our custodians are pinned, they are -1 to hit in melee and -1 to their defense value. So they're very squishy compared to normal right now. So 4 attacks at AP 4. All 4 hit, saving on a 6 even with their heavy shield. Make 1 save. They have regeneration. They take 1. The Tyrant Stomp, 2 hits. It is AP 1 counteracting the heavy shield, so they save on a 2. Fail 1, regeneration. Fail that, so they've taken 2, which is enough to finish him off, leaving 1 to attack back. 3 attacks, hitting on a 4. 1 hit, saving on a 6. Fail. Regeneration. Passed. So in this case, in 3.3, pinned units don't fail morale tests automatically, so I'm assuming he just takes another morale test. And he passes. So this seems like another weird spot in the new rules. Now I have the advanced rule book, so with what happened with Assault, there could be wording missing or wording different than the basic core book. Underneath Shaken Unit, it does not say that they automatically fail morale tests. So running on that logic, they would have to take a morale test if they lost melee. But now they've passed the morale test. Does that mean that they continue being stunned? Or because they have passed the morale test, they are no longer stunned? I'm fine with either ruling. It doesn't really make any difference to me. We'll figure it out. It's just another hole that showed up after 3.3 got released. So I'm going to say that he's still stunned. And then we're just going to go ahead and activate him right now to remove the stunned marker just to get rid of that interaction anymore. Let me know in the comments if this is something that is in the rule book and I'm just not seeing it. So back to this stuff. Pappy Mr. Big Stick here is going to cast his psychic power and shoot him with the plasma pistol. So it is a strength 1 power. He's casted it twice. He's been on the field for 4 turns. That means he should have 6 left, and it's the final turn. Let's cast it with 6 power. Thank God, because that's what it took. It is AP 2, so he saves on a 4. He takes 3 wounds from that spell. Then 2 shots from the leader's plasma pistol. 1 hit. And he's going to fail his armor save. So he's down to 1 wound. Morale test. He passes. So he took 4 wounds total. He is down to 1. And what he's going to do is he is just going to walk right past that leader. As we have a train in the background, he's going to walk right past that leader to here so that he's going to get behind enemy lines. This guy here is outfitted the same way, and he's going to do the same thing to that Master Destroyer. So he has not cast a single power yet this turn, so he's going to put all whatever points he has, which is over max, into this. And it goes off. Big guy with a heavy shield, it's going to be AP 1 for him. So he's got to save on a 3. Passes. 2 shots with the plasma pistol. Whiff. This combat walker has got to shoot at him for their objectives. Let's see if the Master Destroyer's luck can hold out. Oh, he misses! Somehow you're going to live through this fight, buddy. Over here, Custodian's going to charge into the ball sacks again. 6 attacks, hitting on a 3. 5 hits, saving on a 6. Failed them all. Finally, that means those 2 die, but they do explode. Saving on a 2. They're going to take 1, but it isn't poisoned. They're still going to take it. So it took 3 of the baddest guys in the game, 3 whole rounds of combat to kill off 6 ball sacks. This runner is going to haul butt. That will put him right there. These Custodians are going to turn. They're going to continue to hold 6 and just shoot at the last boomer. 2 shots hitting on a 3. 1 hit. Saving on a 5. It fails. Morale test. It passes. So that takes it down to 1, and it's going to decide to not charge into those custodians. Let's check the cards. First, we're going to start off with the Infected Colony. Seize 1, no. Hold 1, no. Volley Fire, still no. Area Dominance, yes. They are currently holding 2, 4, and 5. So they're going to get 2 points there. And Executioner, they still were not able to kill that Master Destroyer. The Custodian Brothers, hold 2, no. Slay the King, no. They still were not able to take out any of the heroes. Seize 6, yes, they did score that this turn. Charge, yes, they did score that this turn. And Delve Deep, yes, they were able to finally score that for a total of 3 points. So with a final score of 4-5, the Infected Colonies are our winners. The Custodians were in there giving it everything they got in melee, but just the undead aspect of the Infected Colonies, meaning that they're not going to break and run, meant that they just outlasted the guys in gold. So that's going to do it for me out in the garage. Thanks very much for tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment. And if you guys have any insights on the rules questions that I brought up during the game, go ahead and put those in the comments just so I know for future videos. Next week, we are going to go back to the Age of Fantasy, and it will be the Zombie Horde versus the Dwarf Guilds. We're going to see if their robust infantry and heavy firepower is enough to take down the zombies. So that'll do it for me today. Remember to tell your friends about the fun that is OPR. And I hope to see you across the table someday. See you later. Bye-bye.